Hi, this is Karl-James Langford. This is channel 01 to 1975. Me being absolutely awesome as ever. I'm doing a video diary for Thursday, and chickens and bananas and tulips running across the road. I'm doing a video log for the 8th, the 9th, and I don't even know what the hell I'm doing now. January 2014, and I think it's the I think it's the tea actually. I don't know. I'm doing this video log, and I've just seen a fridge flying across my garden, and this has got to be an improvisation, a video log. Well, I can't get any words out, but on Thursday and Friday this week I've been teaching about the archaeology of Malta. Switch off yet? Not yet. Basically, I've got my students that I've been teaching on Thursday and Friday. I've done 4 classes the past 2 days, and to be honest with you, I'm going to add the images of Malta after this for my archaeology students. And I started teaching the archaeology of Malta on Tuesday, and the biggest thing that I've found is that when I taught on Thursday, I got back and I was so absolutely drained because I put a lot of energy into my lectures. I was so completely smashed, and it wasn't the decision only to stop teaching the archaeology last year because I want to move into acting. It's the archaeology. It's just like reinforced that it actually does make me ill, because I was just sat here at the computer thinking, I don't know what to do. I don't know where the hell I am, trying to get into the space. It's a bit like sometimes when I've got acting roles and you're a character and it takes me a while to get out of it. Well, teaching takes me a lot longer to get out of that character that I'm actually I'm projecting, and it's really difficult. I do have a real loyal following of students, and it's good to give that back for their loyalty, but it is really draining. And then teaching on Friday. In the morning that I took a group of students, we did some field work, and that was a field workshop. That was really good, but I ran over by an hour, and then I wandered around the town that I did the workshop, sort of putting posters up about my classes there on a Thursday, and bumped into a friend of mine called Steve. He's a guy who I bump into on the train, and we have good old natters. Yeah, he's a friend, and he's got a bit of a rough time at this minute, and the rough time is to do with the fact that I think he feels lonely, and I think he feels isolated, and he's talking to the right person that sometimes feels that as well. And then in the evening I was taught again the class about Maltese archaeology, so that was really good. Hi, this is my Malta Archaeology short insert into my video log. So we've got a series of images that I use as part of my PowerPoint projections with my classes that I teach every week. So the first image that we will see represents a cave system in Malta. And usually established form is that the peoples settled in Malta from about 7,000 years ago, but there would have been an early island occupation before that Neolithic period, and obviously we're now finding the evidence, so history changing. Into the next slide, it's a typical quarried out network of catacombs. The peoples in the Mediterranean were very different in thinking as to the peoples of Great Britain, for example, in the way they dealt with their dead. As in Britain, we would bury our dead in a Neolithic 7,000 years ago above the surface. Our similar ancestors in Europe would quarry the ground, use the stone for building, and then use the quarries to use as their catacombs. You will find in different parts of Europe pottery and structural building very similar. This pottery itself represents pottery that you could find very much anywhere in Europe and Great Britain. Doesn't mean to say that there was a core of pottery builders going around Europe. It was a matter that people felt a need to develop pottery in localized conditions, known in archaeology as post-processionalist archaeology or determinism, where people would develop using their own materials in their own environment. Next slide is the temple building phase of occupation in Malta. About 3,200 years to 2,500 years BC, they built temples. Temples for purposes and gods that we are unable to know fully and understand at this present. But obviously temples above the surface, burials below the surface. These are a relief of goats, my favourite animals, but showing you the skills of their carving. Moving on, this is a hypogeum, very famous site at Hal Saflenai. My pronunciations are wrong as usual, but that site as well, the hypogeum, is an underground sort of two-tiered catacombs of 7,000 bodies, dating back to as far ago as 6,000 years ago. The next shows a series of spirals on stones cut in connection with the temple building phase on Malta. Now these spirals are very reminiscent of spirals that we might even find in Scotland, Ireland, anywhere else in the Northern Hemisphere. It isn't because itinerant travellers are going around Europe introducing these spirals. It's the way our brain would develop to create these spirals in complete isolation to other cultures. Good example is that Peruvian Nazca people 1,200 years ago. They had the spiral design with the Nazca lines, totally in total isolation from other peoples elsewhere in the world, otherwise known again as determinism. These figures are very similar, sort of non-portrayal of sexuality, so these may be male, female. Their purpose unknown, but they're beautiful carvings on display in their museums on Malta. These two gold figurines, Anubis and Horus, showing again trades with Malta to the Egyptian world. This figure itself might give some titillation to some people, but in examining this image, it shows about a woman in about 30, 35, and it's well in proportions, and you can tell the proportions are right by looking at the reverse of the individual, where you can see the very well made terracotta, in terracotta, this is fired pottery, and you can see the shoulder blades, the buttocks and the backs of the calves, so this is very realistic. Next image. This is seen to be a female figurine, but I would argue that this is a male figurine, showing representation of how these people felt and saw themselves. Some people believe that these may have been carved by women. More of the figures laterally said, you can see the representation of a child, an animal's head, and obviously male and female figures. And it's likely that there was not really a structure of hierarchy on the island, because people seem to be all represented the same and equal. This is a Kufic inscription. The Arabs were very influential on the island between 870 and 1090, and very much influenced the language, place names, and the idea of the Arabic world is still to be enshrined on the island of Malta. Malta is by far an island representative of a number of different cultures that are representative on display in the archaeology. A model that can be used anywhere on the planet. Thank you very much. Carry on with the video log. Conversation with a friend of mine after that for 2.5 hours, and you know who you are. And it was just like recapping about my character and me and my life and moving forward, and the ways that sometimes I communicate and the wrong words come out. It's like that when I'm teaching. I can see something and I don't even know I've said it, and somebody can say that, oh, you've made a mistake, but it's just the way things are. Some people can understand with you saying the wrong thing that you mean something else, which is great. And one thing I wanted to say in this video log was that anyone that is a teacher, learning how to teach, lecturing, I have found that my best lectures that I deliver are lectures where I've got no paperwork in front of me, lectures that I haven't practiced or performed, and just used what I've got in my mind. Because one teacher that I spoke to yesterday said that that they used to be a university lecturer, used to give 2-hour lectures, and they used to do about 8 hours of research. 8 hours of research, I'd prefer to be lying in bed asleep, because all the information is in my head, so I deliver. And those are usually my best lectures. So this is why I don't have notes most of the time. So that's how I do these classes. But unfortunately, that has a that has a downside where it absolutely exhausts me afterwards. It completely drains me. And finally, on this, the back of the last 2 days, Thursday and Friday, we've seen horrific events in France, in Paris, the 2 sieges, hostages, and the deaths of hostages, and the deaths of the murderous individuals whose religion or supposed religion they represent will go unmentioned in this video log. The one thing that always gets me, and you might say this is easy for me to say, that why is it when people are just being asked, right, get down to the ground, we want to keep you as hostages, why do people just give up? Because most people in a siege will know that they're going to die, okay? And I'm telling you now, if I was ever in that situation, I don't fear death. If I was in that situation, I would give it a go. That I would make sure that I would take one of those people that was holding me hostage down with me. Okay, I would make an effort. And if more people didn't cower down and just give up their lives to be a hostage, we wouldn't have a lot of these situations. And I know it's easy for me to say, but that's what I think strongly. And there's things that I've wanted to say about the hostage situation and where things move and what happens next. But obviously I'm not going to say them in these videos because that's a private thing for me. Anyway, not to sound negative, but I would say that everything that's happening now has been caused by Tony Blair, who should be put on trial for the deaths and murder of hundreds of thousands of people in the Middle East. And now that war's coming over to France and has come over to Great Britain, and it's thanks to Tony Blair, that murderer, that has caused these events, and he should be put on trial and subsequently executed for the deaths of all these people that he's caused. Very strong, but I'm sure some of you will believe. This is Karl-James Langford for my video log on the 8th and 9th of January. Thank you.